Hey guys, I'm back. It's been a while, but today I've got something really fun with clay. This time, the theme is a chicken. Yep, just a chicken. But I wanted to give it a strange twist. So I went on Pinterest looking for ideas, and after a while I came across this picture. A bald chicken sitting in a meditation pose. Pretty weird, right? That's when I decided to bring that image to life. As always, I start the project with a simple armature and a wooden base. Unfortunately, for a few technical reasons, I couldn't record this part, which is a shame because I really wanted to show you more without those confusing cutscenes. Aluminum foil is something I always use in every project. It saves clay and helps me control the thickness layer by layer. Trust me, you don't want to peel it off and redo everything later. The next step is adding clay. Honestly, I'm not sure how to describe this part. If I go into too much detail, it might make the video less fun, but if I don't say anything, it could get boring. So instead, while I sculpt, let me tell you the story behind this chicken. In a small village, there was a strange rooster named Zen Chicken. Unlike the other chickens that spent their days crowing and scratching the ground for food, Zen Chicken was fascinated by silence. From a young age, he would sit perfectly still under a tree, eyes half closed, as if he was pondering something far beyond the instincts of a bird. The villagers whispered that Zen Chicken had lived many lifetimes of spiritual practice, but because of an ancient vow, he was reborn as a chicken. He never complained, never resisted. He simply continued his quiet path toward enlightenment. One day, his owner cooked a big pot of rice, adding beans and grains for the meal. Zen Chicken quietly climbed into the bowl, sat cross-legged like a monk, and began to meditate. From his thin little body rose a white mist, not the steam of hot rice, but the pure energy of meditation. In that moment of stillness, Zen Chicken smiled and said, "Even if this body is a chicken, even if I sit inside a bowl of rice, my spirit is free. True freedom isn't about form, it's about peace within." The owner was stunned, and something in his heart awakened. From that day on, he never thought of eating Zen Chicken again. Instead, he treated him as a tiny teacher, showing the village the meaning of calm in a restless world. And so the legend of the meditating chicken in the rice bowl spread through the village, reminding everyone that enlightenment can appear in the most ordinary places. And that's the story of this chicken. What do you think about it? Let me know in the comments below. Now for the combs. I shaped them separately and then attached them to the head. The small ones under the chin were pretty easy to make, but the big one on top needed to look exactly how I imagined. So I drew the shape on paper, cut it out, then pressed it onto the clay and trimmed it with a knife. After that, all that's left was to stick it right onto the chicken's head. I put him in the oven to bake and lock in everything I've done so far. While he's cooking, I'll work on the other parts. Besides the chicken, this project also needs one more important piece, a bowl. The size had to be just right, not too big or too small, so I ordered one online. It looks pretty good, and I hope it'll fit the character. If you've seen my earlier videos, you might remember I once made a character with smoke rising from below. That gave me the idea to add smoke to this project too, but there's a catch. If I want to add smoke, the inside of the bowl has to stay hollow, which means the chicken has to sit floating above it. To do that, I'd need a support piece. But that would tip over so easily. So here's what I did. I used a compass to draw a circle inside the bowl, then bent a piece of aluminum wire around the rim and glued it in place. Now I've got a steady ring where I can place a support piece on top without worrying about it falling over. Now let's get back to the chicken. After baking, he's nice and solid, so I can hold him freely without worrying about breaking or bending any parts. I moved on to shaping the legs, but I didn't make them too detailed since they'll be covered by the rice anyway. Next up, the hands. I know, chickens don't normally have hands, right? But this Zen Chicken does. If you look at meditation poses, the hands are usually placed like this. So I sculpted the hands separately, then attached them to the wrists I had prepared earlier. And just like that, they were done. Finally, the most important step, testing if he actually fits into the bowl. And luckily, it turned out to be a perfect fit. Once the Zen Chicken was baked, I started painting it. This time, I wanted to try a realistic style, painting the character to look more like it exists in real life. I've never done this before, so I just hoped the final result wouldn't turn out too bad. I began with a base skin tone using an airbrush, applying multiple layers to cover the surface evenly. Then, with a brush, I used diluted red paint to give him the natural redness of skin, slowly building up layers of color. I also added washes of blue and yellow, though since it was my first time using them, I didn't control them very well. For the comb, I went with an orange-red tone and let it dry completely. While waiting for the paint to dry, I worked on the rice. For this, I used translucent Sculpey clay, rolling each grain by hand and arranging them into a round shape. It was simple, but it left me with back pain for a few days. I also added some peanuts that I had sculpted and painted earlier, since they're an essential part of this dish. Finally, once the Zen Chicken was dry, I placed him on top and glued him in place. Some of you might be wondering why I didn't make a solid base. Well, here's the reason. Now for the final step, creating the smoke. I used a special smoke powder, placed it in a small bowl, and lit it. It releases smoke with a nice scent, which I really enjoy working with. This was the moment of truth. Would the base actually let the smoke flow through? And yes, it worked perfectly. Now, let's take a look at the finished piece together. Thank you so much for sticking around until the end of the video. YouTube isn't my main job, but I love creating things and sharing them here. I know my videos aren't perfect yet, but I'm learning more about editing and trying to be more creative each time. Once again, thank you. And I hope you'll join me for the next video.